hands, Blade. I don't know which one to use to kill you with.
Hello, my name is Marco and this is The Shallow Focus. And my purpose of creating this channel was to analyze films, video games, and literature, as well as look at themes, symbolism, and motifs that I gather using my personal experiences and my personal outlook. And well, the film we're looking at today is going to be the 1998 film Blade, directed by Norrington and starring Wesley Snipes as a title character. I will be analyzing the costs of being a hero, as well as the isolation that can come from knowing that the world that most people live in is just a false reality, and also how our destinies cannot be avoided no matter what we do. So I have to give a spoiler warning and ask that anybody who hasn't seen this film click out of the video and go ahead and watch it themselves. And whoever else is here, let's go ahead and get into it. The film picks up in 1965 with a young woman being rushed into a hospital with blood squirting out of her neck. And in order to save her baby's life, a C-section is performed and a young Eric Brooks is born. Eric is not your average baby. Turns out that the wound on his mother's neck was a vampire bite, and the vampire that bitten his mother had given him its genes through his umbilical cord and gave him all the vampiric strengths and none of the weaknesses. Years later in the present, a now grown-up Eric, now known as Blade, is stalking the streets trying to eradicate the vampires, as well as any human that helped them or assisted them in obscuring their presence. And on his journey, he is guided by an older man named Abraham Whistler, who pretty much took him in as a teenager and taught him everything he knew about killing vampires, as well as supplies him with all the weapons that Blade needs on his crusade. The main villain of this film is going to be Deacon Frost, which turns out is actually the vampire that bit Blade's mother when he was just a baby. And he is the creature that gifted Blade with his heightened strength, agility, regeneration, and speed, but also gave him the curse of the need to drink human blood. On his journey to find the vampire that killed his mother, as well as infiltrate the underground world of the vampire, Blade stumbles across a young female doctor named Karen Jensen, who had just been attacked by one of Frost's second-in-command. And going against his better judgment, seeing her lying on the floor bleeding, Blade, saves her and takes her back to his lair. Once at Blade's safe house, Whistler actually gives Karen a serum that slows down the change into one of the undead. Frost wishes to use Blade's blood to summon the blood god called La Magra, which, he found this out by translating ancient vampiric texts. And in order to lure Blade to him, he decided to send some of his men to kidnap Karen, as well as murder Whistler in cold blood. When Blade inevitably confronts Frost in his penthouse, it is revealed that Blade's mother actually survived and is actually the lover of Frost at the moment. And in seeing this, he's put in a state of confusion, and in that state of confusion, he is incapacitated and captured and taken to a temple that was deep underground. And at this temple is when the ritual commences. With Blade's blood and the souls of 12 elders, the ritual works, and Frost is gifted all the abilities of the blood god. At the same time, Blade escapes from his enclosure and is forced to drink blood from Karen in order to rejuvenate his strength. And it is at this moment that his mother, appears in her vampiric form and just asks Blade to give up his human side, his human nature, and just join the vampires. Obviously, he doesn't listen and kills his own mother. What ensues is a final battle where Blade, with his new rejuvenated strength from just having fed, just totally demolishes Frost's men and goes on to have a one-on-one battle with Frost. Although Blade is seemingly losing against Frost and his newly acquired power, he actually uses a special compound that Karen had created that causes vampire cells to explode. So when he uses it against Frost, he starts to bloat and expand and just explodes in a giant red fury of blood and guts. After all this is said and done, Blade and Karen emerge out of the underground temple, and they are shown just talking about what's going to happen next. And it's shown that they will continue to try to find a cure for vampirism, but they will also try to find better and more efficient ways to kill the vampire. And that's pretty much where the movie ends. It is clear from the very beginning of the film that Blade has devoted his entire life to hunting, tracking, and killing the vampire. And this means there is no space in his life for a stable home, a stable family, or any sort of stability. Instead, he moves from city to city, hiding in abandoned factories, abandoned shipyards, and dilapidated buildings. All hopes of living a normal life died the day he was born, and the closest thing that he has to a father is this very cold and angry old man. Given his need to protect humanity and his thirst for human blood, Blade is forced to take a serum that subdues his urges. And in the film, it is shown that this is a very painful process. And, where we're starting off in the story, it's revealed to us that Blade is starting to get a resistance to the serum. So he has to take, higher dosages more often. So that means he has to pretty much put himself through this agonizing process more and more just because he does not want to give in to his vampiric side. This film goes to great depths to show what a real superhero's life would really be like. Everyone that Blade has ever cared about or even had any sort of contact with either ends up dead or turned into a vampire. This is the most apparent during Whistler's death scene, where just to see the sheer look of sadness in Blade's face when his surrogate father asks him to pass him his gun so that he can finish himself off, this really just exemplifies my point, that the cost of being a hero is seemingly too high.
Shit. You're gonna have to finish me off. Don't want me coming back. I can treat the wounds. It's too far gone. You know that. Give me your gun. No. Give me the goddamn gun. Now walk away, you stupid son of a bitch. Walk the fuck away.
Much like the leaders of our real world, the vampires and the humans that work for them would prefer that the humans stay asleep in this false reality that they fabricated for them. Throughout the course of the film, it is shown that Blade is both blessed and cursed with his knowledge of the secret hidden world. On one hand, his knowledge allows him to, be prepared to fight the vampires and sharpen his skills in fighting and tactics. This allows him to just mop the floor with his enemies, and I must admit, it is pretty badass to watch. On the other hand, he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. This creates a certain stoicism that is displayed in Blade's cold demeanor, and this cold demeanor allows him to kill without hesitation, vampires and humans.
No! Please! I just work for them!
As a half vampire, Blade is very isolated because vampires are his enemy, but at the same time, the humans he fights to protect are afraid of him. I will let Deacon Frost explain this theory himself.
Oh, so it's back to pretending we're human again? Come on, spare me the Uncle Tom routine, okay? You can't keep denying what you are, man. You think the humans will ever accept a half-breed like you? They can't. They're afraid of you. And they should be. You're an animal. You're a fucking maniac.
Blade may be the loneliest man on Earth. Since the ritual La Magra needs the blood of a half vampire, it seems that the day Blade was born, he was marked to be the chosen one. All the events of his life lead him to this final destination, and it doesn't seem like there's any alternative or much of anything that he can do to change this. It is ironic, however, how a vampire saw a pregnant woman and saw her as easy prey and decided to take advantage of that. And in taking advantage of that, they did not realize that they'd be creating the one person that could actually destroy the vampire civilization. Blade was always destined to save Karen at the hospital because together they could find a viable way to destroy the vampire. And this just goes to show that every decision we make in life can either lead to our success or can lead to our downfall. Well, that's the video. If you like what you saw, you can go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. And go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section on what I should talk about next and any improvements I can make to my channel. I appreciate that you sat through all that. Thank you.